Blog Talk Radio.
Does a monster roam the remote forest of North America? Some know it as Bigfoot. Others call it Sasquatch. Eyewitnesses describe a creature covered with hair, walking on two legs, towering over 8 feet tall, and sporting massive arms and shoulders. Join us as we examine the evidence, interview the eyewitnesses, and ponder the mystery on Sasquatch Watch Radio.
Hello, everyone. Today is January 14th, 2014, and we're here for another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. I am your host, Billy Willard, and let me introduce my great co-host, the Creature Seeker. How you doing tonight?
Doing great, Billy. How you doing?
Oh, I still hear a little crackling in that voice.
Yeah. I have a little cold that seems to be just shadowing me no matter what I do, but
yeah,
I think I'm on the verge of beating it, you know.
Well, you know, your voice usually gets bad right at the end of it too. At least that's the way it happens to me. That's usually when I get like almost like a laryngitis right when I get at the end of it.
Oh, that's always good to look forward to.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
You know, I forgot to mention this during the last show, but did you hear, Billy, that on Christmas Day that 60 people were attacked by piranha?
Oh, really? Where did this happen?
In this river in Argentina.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a little town called Rosario, I think it's in Argentina, and, you know, the weather down there is pretty balmy. So a bunch of people decided to take a little dip in the river, and like 60 people got attacked by piranha, like children.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now,
that's...
But Billy, guess what the name of the river is?
Piranha River?
The Piranha River. I mean... I don't care. I don't care how hot it is. I'm not going to be swimming in a river called the Piranha River. Okay.
That should be your first clue to stay out of the water.
You would think. You'd think, but you know, I would hate to be the travel agent who screwed up that vacation getaway. Okay.
Yeah.
So, hey, bring your family down to the Piranha River for a nice refreshing dip, and then we'll take you on an unforgettable cruise out to the Missing Persons Lodge, conveniently located at the Crocodile Lagoon.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's... I don't think I would be taking a dive in the Piranha River.
No. I mean, it just... Well, I wish those spoke well, but seriously... Anything that's, I don't care, you know, the funny thing is, like, the mayor of the town was sort of backpedaling. He was like, oh, no, those aren't piranha, they're like cousins of the piranha, right?
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, he's like, they're called palmetto fish or something like that. Oh, like, come on, buddy. I showed a picture of it. The guy was hold one, Billy. I mean, you look at this thing, that thing, and immediately you think piranha, okay? There's no question which side of the family that fish is coming from. It's like a frying pan with teeth. You're not going to say, oh, that looks kind of like a guppy. No, that thing's a freaking piranha.
Oh, man. No, I had not heard that story. That's the first I've heard it.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind next time you want to take a swim. Hey, what's the name of this river? The alligator attack river, maybe I will skip that.
Right. I'll stay away from that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. we got a this is going to be an interesting show tonight, I think. And hopefully we'll get some callers in tonight because I would really, really would like to hear from our listeners as to why they think Bigfoot needs protection. And you know, that's something that you hear all the time, that some people say the reason they want to prove it is because it needs to be protected. And then of course the other side of the argument is, why does it need to be protected when we can't even find it? So
yeah.
So
well,
you know, that's a pretty
logical
argument.
I think that pretty much everyone assumes because these creatures are so elusive that they're rare, you know, and it could very well be. The fact is, we don't really know anything about, you know, Bigfoot. We don't know. We don't know what the population is. We don't know, you know, what the sort of how they're scattered across the world, and in terms of the density of these creatures. We don't know how they live, whether they live in family groups or, you know, everything is supposition. So,
right.
You know, I've heard some people say, well, look, we need to prove that they exist so that we can save them, so we can enact legislation, you know, to save the creatures. And I'm kind of in that. Yeah, if they do exist, I'd hate to see them, you know, die off. But the fact is, we don't know for sure. And so I heard someone say, well, you know, they seem to be doing pretty well just by themselves. We can't even find them, right? So
right.
It'll be interesting how the conversation pans out tonight about that.
Yeah, I agree. You know, and both sides of the fence is a logical argument. You know, because if you look at it on the other side of the coin, let's say the species is discovered. Well, you know, instead of having 1,000 researchers out looking for it, we may have tens of thousands of researchers looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see where that would kind of level the playing field a little bit.
Sure.
So in that sense, I can understand it. But at the same time, there are a lot of people looking for it, and nobody can really find it. Just so everyone knows, tonight is a night where you can call in, voice your opinion. You can ask questions or put comments on the chat. You can private message me if you have a question or whatever. But the phone number to call in is 347-237-5070. I'll repeat it. It's 347-237-5070. And you should get a prompt to tell you that if you want to speak to the host, to press the 1 key. I think that's still correct, isn't it, Bruce? Yeah, so when you call in, don't forget to hit the 1 key, because it puts a little symbol up next to your phone number so that I know that you're not just listening in and that you want to speak on the show. So just letting everyone know that.
So a little extra step.
Yeah. Because some people call in to listen because they can't listen online. They may have dial-up or whatever. And Flycatch has a question, Bruce, and their question is, why do people label themselves researchers instead of investigators?
Why do people label themselves researchers instead of investigators? I don't know, Billy. I don't even know what is the distinction?
Well, I would assume that for whatever reason, I call myself an investigator when I'm going out to investigate a call that came in from a Bigfoot sighting. And for some reason, I see that term as going out to investigate a sighting and then I seem to term research as a longer term thing, like I'm going out and researching this area. But that's just me. So I don't know what you think about that.
To me, I think I'm kind of thinking along the same lines. An investigator, sort of someone who goes out to investigate a scene where either some activity occurred or might occur. I think of a researcher as a person who has an all-around interest in the subject and will read books, periodicals, will watch documentaries. So someone who's doing more than just going out to the site. Someone who's really trying to get more knowledge on the subject, and it could be like by books or periodicals or media. So in my mind, that's the difference.
Right. So you're sort of talking about, like, for example, like a Bigfoot encyclopedia. And the reason I said that is because Henry May's on the line.
Bigfoot encyclopedia, yeah. Anyway,
I bet your closet is floor to ceiling with books, isn't
it? Well, not the closet, but I have 4 bookshelves full.
I think I've got 1 bookshelf, but it's probably got about 4 shelves or so on it.
Anyway, Bruce, sorry to hear that you're under the weather. I hope you get better.
Thanks, HBM.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And, as far as, a lot of people say, well, they need protection, about the only entity they would need protection from would be us. Because if you think about it, they are the dominant predator in the forest, even though, some people may disagree that they are a predator. But I think they are, because I think they are the apex predator. They're like the Randy Orton of the forest.
You can tell Henry's been watching the WWE Hall of Fame stuff. So.
I think HBM has been a long time fan of the WWE.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In fact,
the Ultimate Warrior was just brought back and inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yep, he's gonna be inducted. Yep.
The way Henry May tried to run through that door when he heard the Bigfoot sound that one night. So this is a true story, right? So Henry's staying in the lodge, hears the sound outside the lodge, and the dead of night just wakes up and tries to run out of the room without first opening the door.
No, that wasn't at the lodge. That was at one of the cabins.
The cabins. I'm sorry, the cabins. Yeah. So, and of course the door stops him dead because he's not Randy Orton.
Well, anyway, as I said, these creatures, they need protection. A lot of people say that they need protection from us. But you have to wonder what kind of a rifle would be able to bring down a Sasquatch, or does it depend on a... I'm not advocating anybody shooting one. But when you've got a creature which may stand anywhere upwards of 10 feet tall and may weigh about 1,000 pounds, I don't know if it's the caliber of rifle or if it's depending on where you hit it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I think a lot would depend on shot placement. I mean, you could take anything down if the shot placement is right.
Yeah, but think about this. There are people who go out hunting Cape buffalo, elephants, and those are some pretty what they use are, we're talking about, 475 H&H. They're using like 600 nitro. Those are really large rounds. Those will definitely bring down a Sasquatch. They'll bring down a bull elephant. They'll bring down a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I think that I think that and I watched a program the other night. It was Destination America, Monsters and Mysteries in America. They had our good friend Kathy Strain on, and they were talking about what they called the Bigfoot War, where people felt in danger from Bigfoot creatures.
Right.
So,
yeah, apparently there was at one time, I guess, a war between the Native Americans and Bigfoot.
Yeah.
My understanding on that show, and the Native Americans eventually pretty much, I guess, kind of quarantined an area that was theirs, and then an area that was the Native Americans, and kind of had like I guess you would call it a peace between the two. It was an interesting story, hearing them talk about it.
Yeah. So you have to wonder, who really needs the protection, us or them?
Right.
And
yeah,
that's
true.
That's not to say all Bigfoot are aggressive, because they're not. But
no, I think if they were, we would hear of a whole lot more. The only real violence we ever heard of was, of course, you have Ape Canyon, which nobody really got hurt, but could have if they'd have stepped out of the cabin.
Yeah.
And if they really wanted to get in there and hurt them, I think they would have.
Yeah, they definitely would have gotten a beat down. Billy.
Yeah.
And not to mention the Teddy Roosevelt story from the Wilderness Hunter.
Right. But Native Alien in the chat room brings up another good point. We're discussing this, but they brought up a whole nother point that I've heard discussed. And that is, there's another point, this is what Native Alien says, there's another point with people who want them declared people and given constitutional rights. That also means that they would have to face repercussions for what they tear up, take, and destroy. And it's true. I have heard people say that. If it turns out to be quote unquote human, then what does that mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. But as far as I don't know if we should pass legislation to protect Sasquatches. Maybe once they are proven to exist, perhaps have certain wilderness areas set aside for them.
All right.
And just make those non-hunting facilities or something like that.
Yeah, kind of like you're talking about like sort of like a national park,
right?
Where they don't allow hunting and stuff.
Yeah.
But again, we don't know what the population is, so we really don't know how much land would have to be set aside for something like that. So
that's a good point.
And how did they know to stay in the park?
Right.
Well, that's easy. Remember? Don't you remember the comments about the woman who said, you put the deer crossing signs up. Why would you put the sign there? So that, because you don't want the deer crossing right there. So you take the deer crossing sign down.
Woman's an idiot.
Oh boy. Anyway,
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that court case. Henry May versus Bigfoot on the People's Court.
Yeah.
That Bigfoot tore up my fence, Your Honor, and I want reimbursement for that. I want to be made right.
I want at least 20 pine cones for that fence. and a clove of garlic. No, I better not go there. I better not go there.
But I think that people should. I think before people jump too far ahead of themselves, the ones that want to, give these things, protected status. I mean, you'd have to prove that they are absolutely, a human or a subspecies of human before you give them any kind of protection status. They would have to be proven to be human.
Right. So far, it seems we're having a little trouble with that.
Yeah, and I can guarantee it's not going to get done on a TV show.
Sure it will. I can prove that wrong, Henry. I'll just wipe myself down with some elk poop. I'll find a Bigfoot.
Oh gosh, just don't eat it.
Well,
yeah,
here's the thing. The reason I don't know of anyone who wants to kill a Bigfoot just because they think it's fun, although there are probably people out there. But I think the whole idea is that you really can't move the bait forward unless you provide a body, right? So that's the whole idea. Would you Henry, if you could produce a body, if you could kill one Bigfoot to save the whole population, would you do it?
The only way I would do it is in self-defense. If it came at me and I had no other choice, yeah, I would. But I would not actively go out to destroy a Sasquatch and kill one.
Yeah. Even if you could by using that body, you could save the entire population.
Well, if I were to find one, if it came at me and I had no choice and I had to shoot it, I would, and yes, I would turn it in, and try and get some protection for it. Yeah.
Well, do me a favor first, though, Henry. Don't call the media first and make sure it gets documented well on camera.
Yeah. and I guarantee I'm going to call the most credible people in this business. I'm going to call like Jeff Meldrum and like
Justin Smedja.
No.
Rick Dyer.
No. No.
You're not going to taxidermy it, are you? Okay.
I'm not going to take it around the country in a trailer and say, "Oh, look at this." Charge people to look at it.
All right.
I know. Henry's more of an RV type. Forget the trailer.
Yeah, that's right. Just don't. I don't know though. RV's too much like a bus. I don't want him to fall asleep on it. I see that I see Drain Guinness is with us on the chat.
Yeah.
Drain Guinness just put out a really nice article today. Did you hear what they made for the i5 iPhones, Bruce?
No, what did they make?
Flare has made a thermal image attachment for the i5.
Cool.
So you can now have yourself a nice Flare thermal imager on your i5 iPhone.
Wow.
Yep. I believe it's $350.
Yep. Yeah, it's that new attachment. It's a thermal camera. It's like a thermal imager.
Yep.
And you can attach it to your yeah.
It looks like a permanent cover. Actually, it kind of looks like the protectors that go on there. It just makes the back of the phone fatter. And I believe, and Bill can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it has additional battery power in it. It probably would have to power it. So it might even make your phone last longer. I bought just for that.
I'm laughing at Bill's comment. Bruce can
What
take
is
a picture of a steak.
That son of a...
Careful, Bill. Bill, be careful. You're adding too much fluff to the show. Right, Bruce?
That's right. The complaints are come streaming in already, Billy.
Oh boy.
Midday was making a good point in the chat room. Why couldn't we be a subspecies of Bigfoot? Well, if anybody ever read the book "You Are Sasquatch" by the Facebook Find Bigfoot people, that is what. Well, their theory is that Bigfoot either I think it's Bigfoot emerged from us, or we emerged from Bigfoot. So.
Yeah. Anyway, so to get back on the subject.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll ask you the same question, Bruce. If you were in a situation where you were in the woods, and same question applies to you, and you could shoot one to save the entire species, what would you do?
You know, that's a question. I have to honestly tell you that I wouldn't know until the moment that it happened. But I'd like to, I'll just say, since it's a hypothetical, I'll just say that I'd probably lean toward shooting it.
Yeah.
Not because I have any joy of killing anything, but I really believe that in order to move this whole debate forward, you really need to produce a body. Yeah,
and that's true. But the other side of the argument that you have to consider too is, let's say you shoot it. Okay, let's say you shoot that one. Well, what's to say that there's not some others around?
Well, hey, you're exactly right, Billy. So that's why I say it's a question you never know until you're there, right? You never know the answer to that question until the moment is upon you. So what do? Right. At the last moment, I could lose my nerve and say, you know what, it's probably not a good idea.
And I think that's what would happen, actually, with me anyway. If I was out there, just envisioning being there and seeing one, especially if it doesn't mean me any harm and it's just nonchalantly minding its own business. I don't think I couldn't pull the trigger. I just couldn't. No matter what, no matter. I just couldn't do it. I would literally have to be threatened. My life would have to be threatened, and it would be a last resort. And then God hopes I got extra ammo because I'll probably need it.
Yeah.
To get out of the woods alive.
Yeah, you never know, Billy. There are times, I grew up hunting, so I used to go out with my dad all the time. Used to go out, small game hunting. There are many times when I was up there, I could have taken a shot and I didn't, just because, I'd rather that the creature lived,
Yeah.
I got more enjoyment watching, the animal running around and doing its thing than, I said, some other day. But definitely for my survival, I don't have any problem, killing and eating, forest game.
Right.
Right. But I don't know. I just, if you look throughout history, the Museum of Natural History actually sent expeditions out to get specimens.
Right. I know. Yeah.
But,
I know.
So.
And I think the one thing that really works in our disfavor today is technology. Is really becomes a disfavor in the point that nowadays anything can be made to look real when it comes to photos and video.
Sure.
And that's actually working, against us really, going out and getting that perfect picture or that perfect video, is that really going to be enough now, knowing what we know with technology?
Mm-hmm.
So, that puts a little hamper on things.
Well, Billy, look at this. The Patterson-Gimlin film. It's one of the clearest videos, right? To this day, has not been proven to be a hoax.
Right.
To this day.
Right.
And still, the debate rages on about whether that's an authentic video of a Bigfoot creature.
Right.
Still today.
I know. Here, I know it's been scrutinized by a lot of people. So it's of course it's been scrutinized by many people and kind of handed down, and some of the newer folks have taken over looking at it. And I hate to do a shameless plug here, but we're going to have one of those at Creature Weekend. That's done some of the latest work.
Yeah.
So Bill Munns has done some excellent work. I remember when I watched the episode that he was in, where Bill developed a special device where he could run each frame through and snapshot it on his computer. Remember that little hand crank thing? He would move it to a frame, snap the picture, move to the next frame, snap a picture, and he was able to put all that together. And that's probably some of the best, when he did that, it was some of the best footage. And just amazing some of the work he's done on that.
It's great to see that he was preserving it, because that was from Mrs. Patterson's original second generation copy.
Right. Yeah, it's nice to see stuff like that, that being preserved.
Bill Munns is actually a pretty amazing guy, and I dare say that he's, with the work that he's done on the Patterson-Gimlin footage, he's probably, I would think that history would show him as probably one of the most influential, Bigfoot researchers of our time.
Yeah, as far as that goes, yeah, I would have to agree. And plus, he's got the background to pick up too on hoaxes as well.
Mm-hmm.
He can look at these photos and videos and pretty much come up with whether something's been doctored there or that kind of thing. So he brings a lot of experience to that.
He sure does. He's a really nice guy too. Henry, I know you've met him before.
Yeah, it was at the Yakima event back in 2009, and there's also a video on YouTube from last year's Texas Bigfoot Conference where he gives an excellent presentation about. He did warn the audience that it was a little bit R-rated, as it were, because he showed some female anatomy.
Right.
But he was using it as as a comparison to Patty, and it's really an amazing presentation. I would recommend everybody look up on YouTube Bill Munns Texas Bigfoot Conference 2013.
Yeah,
well, I may have to examine that footage very closely.
You can, you can spend a little time looking at it, but make sure you got a nice big old piece of chocolate pie when you're watching it.
And don't forget the steak, Billy.
We got off subject there. Sorry about that. Let's see.
Fluff alert.
Yeah. Let me. We got another caller here. Let's pull them in. Caller from the 540 area code. You're on the air.
Hi, Billy. This is Gary Faust with Unsolved Mysteries and Paranormal Society in Brunswick, Virginia.
How's it going?
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Huh?
Hey, I told Bruce, I told Gary to call in. He had some comments about our subject tonight, so I asked Gary to call in tonight and tell us what he thinks.
Oh, it's great. Hello, Gary. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. How are you doing, Billy?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. After the back surgery, I'm ready to hit the hills now.
There you go. There you go. Been there, done that. I had that myself, so I know what you depending on which one you had done, I know what you're going through.
Yeah, I've had 10 back surgeries, so this last one I think has really helped me a lot, so I can get out and do a lot more than I was used to doing.
Well, it's they've come a long way in the surgery on that, so I have to say that I only had to have the one surgery and it fixed my problem, and I can't tell you how happy I was when I felt a lot better. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess we've been talking back and forth to one another about this new show that's coming on, and I think it's going to be interesting. But the only problem I saw with it was just one guy on there. And I don't know if y'all guys heard or not. He said he wanted a Bigfoot. He wanted his head on his wall, and that kind of upset me a little bit. The reason for it is that we don't even, we've not touched. We haven't even touched what we can learn from this creature, if it even exists. You go on YouTube and you see all these people getting in suits and all kinds of stuff and acting stupid. And, they do the same thing in ghost hunting, Billy. Just like what we do a little bit of everything as far as unsolved mysteries and stuff.
Yeah. And,
I had gotten a picture on a trap cam. I don't know what it is. It's all I know. It's got a lot of hair. It was beside of a dry creek bed, and the local zoo said that if it had come on out of the creek bed, it would have been about 7 foot tall because the trap cam was about 6 foot on that tree.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, it's just like any other unknown primate or animal or whatever the case may be. We've got a lot to learn from them. And I know you, Billy, you're a researcher. You're not out to kill anything and stuff like that. And what I've done is I've gotten 3 paintball guns with the rubber balls.
Mm-hmm.
And what it's for, it's deterrent from bears. But I would imagine if you let go 3 guns on something with these rubber balls, they're not going to fool with you. That way you're not hurting.
One thing for sure, you pop a bear in the nose with it, and that's usually about all it takes.
Oh, it does, yeah. And most of the time, from what I saw of all the Bigfoot videos, they're running from you instead of coming toward you.
Mm-hmm.
So, is it one? I don't know. I've heard some strange things up here on this Blue Ridge Parkway. I think I told you about it about a year ago.
Yep. And
we've been aiming to get up there to research it, but with my back the way it was, I just couldn't do it. And so I just got a feeling there's something up there. I don't know what it is. I can't say it's a Bigfoot. We've had 3 reports here in Roanoke. one on Colonial Avenue and Ogden Road, where 7 cars were stopped of a creature coming across the road about 7 foot tall with long fingers. They called the police and they investigated it, and then another man pretty close to where the picture I got on the trap cam, he reported a sighting a week before I did. Mm-hmm. So there's something going on in that same general vicinity of the parkway.
All right.
We did find some deer carcass, the bones laying up there in the woods near the Roanoke River Dam. Okay. And so whether that was something else that ate the deer or killed the deer, you just don't know.
Right. Well, one thing for
I
sure,
think,
Gary, when you get better, when you get to the point where you're going to be able to get back out again, I think I've already told you this. I definitely want to meet up with you up there and have a look around in that area.
Yeah, well, I'm able to get around pretty good now. I've been climbing the banks back here in the back of the house here, testing myself, and I'm doing pretty good. I'm ready to get out there before the ticks get out there, really.
Yeah, me too.
But I think we have a lot to learn from this creature, if it's such a thing. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's not. I have an open mind. I think there is something. There's too many reports. There's too many sightings not to be.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot to learn, and we may learn something that we didn't even know.
Right.
And I know that the thing going around saying, about shooting this and shooting that, I just don't think that's the way to go with it. Maybe to get out there and protect yourself, using the paintball gun with the rubber balls that like we use, that would be a good deterrent, and I wouldn't use it unless I basically had to.
Right.
Now, when you're out there in the woods at night, we have mountain lions here. Now, the Game and Inland Fisheries say it's not any such thing, but that's not true. That's what we normally take the paintball guns for, because I don't want to run into one of them for sure.
Right. Yeah, and they are out there. We finally got the National Park Service to admit in this area that there are definitely cougars.
Oh, really?
But I couldn't believe they finally admitted to it.
Well, see, they won't do it here. And I was told by a Parkway official that there had been 3 sightings in one area, and a car had hit one. So, that's mostly what we do, and usually they won't let you take a paintball gun on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Unfortunately, they won't let you take a gun or anything.
Right.
So you have to have special permission. I always fill out a research permit and ask them, to use that, just carry it just for my protection, But if you have one and you start hitting something with it, it's whatever it is not going to stay around.
Yeah.
But at least you're not killing anything. And
right.
I guess that kind of upset me when I saw this show. And I think that Bigfoot, the show that you got going tonight, is really good. I think it should be protected.
Yeah.
It's a creature that, like I said, we don't know a lot about, and we need to study it more, and we need to learn from it instead of trying to hurt it.
Right.
Well,
kind of
Gary,
like
let me ask you a
like
question.
the Jane Goodall.
How do you study it and learn from a creature that doesn't exist?
Well, you can. Well, if it does exist, and like I said, there's a lot of people who've been on YouTube that's making it look like that it's nothing but somebody in a suit. And who knows? I don't know. I've never seen a Bigfoot. And if it is such a thing, and we can find out with some legitimate video or some sort of legitimate DNA like hair or something like that. Right now, this thing is going to hide from you. It's not going to come right out in the open and say, "Here I am." And if there was a way to study the habitat of how it lives, of what it actually eats, is it smart? Is it dumb? You know, to me, animals are a lot smarter than people sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, it's going to take a long time for us to be able to study this thing. And, you know, I'm not saying there is a Bigfoot, but like I said, you know, there's just too many reports. You got footprints, and what would be, you know, people can make fake footprints, but, you know, I've been in this 20 years, and I've seen a lot of people make a mockery of the unknown and the paranormal. And there's places, and Billy, you know this, there's places in the woods, especially in the Smoky Mountains, that people's never set foot in.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, it's just like the ocean. We don't even know half of what's in the ocean, in the deep part of it, where we can't get to it. So I think this Bigfoot expedition stuff, I think we should continue with it and see if there's a primate out there like that. And if it is, then we try to figure out what's the next step of either trying to find out its habits, try to learn from it. I just don't think killing it and studying it like a, you know, with scalpels and stuff is going to do the trick. I just don't think that.
Yeah, the only thing that'll do is prove the existence of the species. But I think deep down we know that there's something out there that exists. So.
Oh yeah, there's things out there that we don't even know about, Billy. And you know, we've got a lot to learn about it, and just like with the stuff that we have to be called out on and stuff, we go out and we do an investigation. We may not see anything, we may not hear anything, but I'm not going to sit there and tell the people they're liars either.
Right. Now, you had mentioned a while ago, Gary, you had said, you know, whether these things are smart and dumb. So I'm getting ready to bring a wildlife researcher on here from the 765 area code, and I'm going to see if he can tell me if he thinks that monkeys and apes and things are stupid.
Well, they claim we're from an ape.
Well, I've got a wildlife researcher on here, so Larry Basson, introduce yourself and give us your opinion on that.
Okay.
Well, they're in most respects they're far more intelligent than we are.
That's right.
Especially when it pertains to the wild world.
Yep.
That's why the gorilla went undiscovered for so many years. That's why they continue to discover species of primates, let alone the ocean. The animals haven't been discovered there, but they wasn't 3 or 4 years ago they discovered a species of mangabey in Africa that was really a heavily studied area by zoologists, and it wasn't a little monkey either. But as far as these Sasquatches go, I'm here to say they do exist, because I have the testimony of one gentleman, which I consider the best testimony ever recorded among anyone. It's from Bob Jackson, the retired Yellowstone Park Ranger, who for 35 years patrolled the most remote area of Yellowstone by himself looking for poachers. That area is known as the Thoroughfare District. And he watched one stalk a deer for quite a few minutes. And the trail crews in Yellowstone hear them, they see them, they find evidence all the time. And I don't believe, this is why I have problems with shows like Not Finding Bigfoot, everywhere they go, they hear one. They feel it. It's not that easy. And if you're looking for it, you're not going to find it. There's tribes in New Guinea that they know exist, and they go into those forests, and if those people don't want to be found, they're not found.
Mm-hmm.
And these aren't primates, because if they were a primate, we'd already have one. It's far above that. And when we walk into their domain, if there's a Bigfoot within 3 miles of where you walk in, they know it immediately. They can sense it. They can feel the air and know the presence of people, animals, whatever. And if you've seen one, there's 2 or 3 others you didn't see.
Yeah.
And it was George Shallot, foremost zoologist in the world, who did more studies on the snow leopard. There is no evidence that proves they don't exist. No.
Right.
And for that, I'll refrain from my language. Fella that said he shot that baby and shot the adult. That's criminal, because the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service put out a press release in 1979 that the moment that one is reported, either with a body or confirmed sighting, that the area will be immediately cordoned off by the National Guard. There'll be an emergency meeting of Congress, and it will be protected immediately as an endangered species.
Oh, wow.
So,
what's the date on that?
It was, I believe it was 1979. In fact, when I went to the National Conservation Training Center about 4 years ago and spoke to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service on Sasquatch, first time they've ever hosted anything like that, that they came up with that press release in their archives, and it's quite extensive. It's over 2 pages long.
Wow.
On their procedure, what they would do immediately.
Right.
So essentially what that fella did, and I use the word fella loosely, was a criminal act. And I think the Code of Hunters, you don't shoot anything not unless you're sure what it is.
Right.
Exactly.
Because how was he to know that this wasn't some kid in a suit?
Right.
And,
See,
even though the kid's playing a hoax, he doesn't deserve to sacrifice his, he doesn't need to be killed over it.
Right. I've always said that one of the main reasons, one of the main things that would make me hold back would be, granted, you would be a fool to be walking around in a costume out in the middle of the woods. But at the same time, what if it is what it is, especially at the distance he was away?
And the story just doesn't add up. If you watch the movie, the one thing about the movie Harry and the Hendersons was at the very end, where they're staring in the woods and all of a sudden 6 or 7 of them just appear behind trees and underbrush.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, from dawn to dusk at night, they're invisible. They are almost impossible. They're like it'd be like trying to track a black leopard through Africa.
Right.
But 10 times as intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
That's why science really hasn't got a grasp on this. And for people to say, well, this is there's nothing predictable about these things. To say, oh, they follow this trail, they do this, they do that. Those people don't know what they're talking about, because there's nothing predictable. They're far stronger. We're raising an Ollie baboon, and I guarantee this baboon's only 5 years old, and the feat of athleticism and strength that it does is 10 times above us.
Right.
Let alone something that's 8 feet tall, weighs 500 or 600 pounds. I mean, people disappear in the forest every year, never found again.
Right.
That's a fact of life.
Yeah.
And I had a friend in Washington who's familiar with a local Indian tribe, a reservation not too far from him. And I know I've told this story numerous times on different venues, but 3 young men went back to run salmon lines, and they never came back. And when the elders went in, they found them. One had been completely dismembered. One was underneath a pile of boulders. And the third one was, well, let's put it this way. Where his body finally laid, if you looked in a circle around it on the trees, there was brain tissue on every tree. In other words, he was grabbed by his ankles and beaten up against trees.
Ow.
And that is the same thing that has been reported over the years from law enforcement. They've found coyotes that have been killed that way, wolves that have been killed that way, small bears that have been killed that way. And I knew a young lady who was a Native American, and she proceeded to tell me that. She said, I can call in a Bigfoot, but you realize you'll be risking your life. And I said, well, why is that? She said to me, just as a matter of fact as can be, if you get between the male and the female or the male and the baby, he'll kill you. I said, well, how will he do that? He says he will grab you by your ankles and beat you up against a tree.
Oh,
Now, what kind of animal would that take for a 250-pound man to be killed that way?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me
That's
ask
what
you a
people
question.
don't realize. When they say they're chasing these things around, they don't know what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
99% of these guys that go off in the woods, on their little treks and their paid expeditions and taking mom and pop and the kids, they have no clue what they're dealing with here. That's what's so maddening to me about it.
Well, there's definitely the possibility there. Now, Gary, did you have a question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask him, do you think that we could learn a lot from this creature if and when that ever happens without getting beat up beside a tree?
It will never happen because they'd be almost impossible to capture.
Right.
They would be completely impossible to keep in captivity, and that's how most animals, scientists learn about animals, from keeping them in captivity. And it's by far more improbable that they're going to actually study them like Jane Goodall did chimpanzees in the wild. I mean, you have to be able to gain their trust and be able to observe them day in and day out. That is not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
They've had too many tough dealings with humans. They hate us. The only ones that they trust are youngsters. They always talk about youngsters having them come into camp and approach them and so forth. And as far as the game cams and all that, that's all. I told Monster Quest, I said, you guys are silly because they can smell those game cams. And there's not that many of them.
They're like any other animal. They can smell things that we can't. Us as humans and versus animals, they have a keen smell that they can smell you for a mile away, just like a deer or anything else. And then what tickles me is my grandmother was full-blood Cherokee, and she even spoke of this when she was living. And what tickles me is these hunters will put on all this gear.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Camouflage herself up like a tree and put on deer, urine and all this, and it's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's stupid.
It
They're
is.
not gonna,
Yeah.
Let me tell you, bears and the bear is comparable to the great apes in intelligence. They just don't have the facial expressions. No hunter would be able to just step in the woods and stalk a bear. They either have to bait them or they have to use dogs. For a hunter just to walk in the woods and stalk a bear, it's not going to happen, not unless he's going to go along the rivers where they're eating salmon, Kodiak bears. But the black bear, you go in those Blue Ridge Mountains and say, go off and find a bear without any baits and without dogs. And it's practically impossible.
Yep.
Yeah.
Guys, I got to get going. Larry, do you still have any of those DVDs available from your talk at the wildlife?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll contact you on Facebook, and you can give me an address, and I'll send it off for it.
Oh, okay.
By the way, my nieces loved Alphabet Swamp, by the way.
Did you get a copy of that? Is this Henry?
I got 2 of them, Larry.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'll talk to y'all later.
All right,
Okay,
good night,
take care of yourself, Billy.
Later.
All right. Larry, before you get off the line,
who said I'm leaving? I haven't bothered Henry yet.
Well, Henry left, so you're not going to be able
Where
to.
Where did he go?
He had to go. It's past his bedtime.
Oh, he went to go get some fried chicken's what he went to do.
No, you're thinking of Bruce. See, now you're getting
Bruce,
Bruce
I mean.
Henry. Yeah, so you're thinking of Bruce. Bruce, he's wanting to know if you had any buckets of fried chicken.
I was confused for a moment.
Wow, that's a natural state for you, Larry.
Man, I opened myself up wide open for that one.
Yeah,
My
you did.
God.
He was waiting for you. But you know what? Honestly, Larry, Native, there's a fellow by the name of Native. You know what? I'm not sure if Native's female or male. I have never asked. Do you know, Bruce? Anyway.
What's that?
Native alien. I don't want to make a mistake.
I don't know, Billy.
But they wanted me to ask you. Let me find it. I got to scroll up here. The chat room's going a mile a minute.
Oh, good.
She's
Let's
female.
See. Okay. Larry, they want to know, what is your opinion of habituators? People that say that they are habituating this being.
I don't believe them.
Okay.
Do not believe them. But I'm going to tell you right now, I think there's someone out there that has a film that is far better than the Patterson-Gimlin film. And I've stated this before. And the only reason they're not releasing it is because it was taken at a place that maybe it's their retirement place, and they just don't want to be inundated with you-know-what.
Right.
And that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah.
I think there are people that live in areas and they keep their mouth shut that see them on occasion. And when I say on occasion, maybe a couple times a year, those people keep their mouth shut. 99% of all Bigfoot sightings are never reported. Not only for the reason that they don't think people would believe them, but they don't want to give them up.
Right.
Because look what happened when the gorilla was discovered. Oh, my God, they were up there. They went up in those mountains and decimated them.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing with the Sumatran rhino that just disappeared from Vietnam. The last one was poached. The western black rhinoceros is now extinct in the wild. And people that love nature, in fact, I had a lady come up to me after I was doing a show, and she lived right on the boundaries of Morgan Monroe State Forest in Indiana. She just came up, she says, I see them all the time. I wish people just leave them alone. They're not hurting anybody. Just leave them alone. And I totally agreed with her. You know, where I live, there's been sightings all around. People say, "Why don't you do research?" Oh, I could be going out and taking out my trash one night and walk into one. You know,
well,
no, it's a Sasquatch.
You've got a bunch of attractants around there with all these wild animals.
Well, they are, because, you know, anything with intelligence, they all have one thing in common. They have a sense of curiosity. So something that's not supposed to be here would definitely gain the curiosity of animals. It's really weird because where all of our big cats are, there's a ravine right behind them. We see deer back there all the time within 50 yards of them.
Right.
They just realize that they can't be got anymore, so they just totally they trust that they realize they're there, but I won't say they lost their fear of them, but they've realized their boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We've got a crow. We call him Walker because he's got a messed up wing and he walks everywhere and hops. And we've been feeding him, and we had that big polar vortex go through here last week. And I was looking out in the snow, and I could find his track because it's a perfect crow track. Then you can see where his wing was dragging. Well, apparently the other night when I was feeding the tigers, one piece of meat didn't quite land in the cage. It just landed outside of it. And that crow had gone right up to that, within 6 inches of that tiger to eat that meat.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
It's just wild. And, that's, I have a lot of difficulty with that people just don't really understand what we're dealing with here. And I won't say dealing with because just between you and me and the whole world, I don't care if anyone ever proves this or, I don't care.
Right.
And that show the other night with the DNA, further evidence, that was just so true, because there was not one researcher in that show they did a really poor job on collecting their researchers.
Right. Right.
And especially the guys that shake hands before they go in the woods because there's no danger. The American public walks among mountain lions every time they hike in Yosemite, Yellowstone, Rocky Mountain. They just don't see them.
Right.
They're there. You got more chance of being struck by lightning than getting attacked by a mountain lion, even in an area where they're heavily populated.
Right. Right.
And
so to go along with our topic, then I'll ask you the question: do you think Bigfoot needs protection?
I do. I absolutely do, to keep guys out of the woods with guns and not shooting other people. But there's only one problem with that. I have the guy that would give the testimony to prove of their existence because he used to work for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. He worked for a national park system.
Right.
And after I did my program in Shepherdstown, West Virginia, for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, I was inundated with emails from rangers, conservationists that work for the government, said, thank you, because for years we did not want to say a word about this.
Right.
But now you've opened up this and to tell you the truth, after I did the program, they contacted me, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and they said of all the lectures that they've ever had there, and we're talking lots of very dignified people, other than myself, which I don't consider very dignified, they had more requests for the DVD of that lecture than anything times 10 that had been there.
Well, I have to say, watching the DVD is better than meeting you in person. Sorry.
Well, yeah, there's an aroma attached to that. And then when they meet me in person, they go, "Man, he's really just a big butthead."
Every time I meet Larry in person, he wants to wrap that freaking snake around me.
Well, that's my education thing. I don't like people to be afraid of animals, and I want them to respect them. I've never teased anyone.
I wasn't afraid of snakes until you tried to wrap it around my neck.
I was trying to show you there's no reason to fear it.
It's a 12-foot python.
So 12-foot snake. There's only a few inches that you need to worry about. That's the mouth. The bites. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe 12 feet. That's why they say when I handle big 6-7 foot rattlesnakes, I said the only thing I'm concerned about is the head. The rest of the snake can't do nothing to me.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Well, one thing's for sure, we had an interesting discussion tonight.
Is it over?
Well, yeah, we typically try to stick to an hour.
Oh, okay.
Which we're about 9 minutes over, but we still have some time. But what do you think,
I hear my
Bruce?
wife wrestling an alligator in her bathroom right as we're speaking.
You might.
Oh, she knew this job was going to be tough when she took it on, so. But I could hear rumbling.
And Larry's just sitting on the phone. His wife's wrestling an alligator in the bathroom.
Not a big one. It's only about a 3-footer.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah, we did school lectures today, and we've got to do school lectures tomorrow, so I thought I'd just keep him in the bathtub.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's part of the training process. It's how you train Bruce.
Yeah.
Just keep him in the bathtub.
Right.
Cool him down.
I don't trust that alligator either, Billy.
One should not trust alligators.
If the thing's not trying to bite your fingers off, it's peeing on you.
Let me explain something about the alligator. They have a certain zone that is safe and a certain zone that is not safe. And if you make a perfect circle from the alligator's tip of his nose to the tip of his tail, and you get inside of that circle, you're safe. In other words, if you jump on the alligator's back, there's no way he can twist around and bite you because you're inside of the zone.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if you move out a little bit where the tail can meet the mouth, then you've got a problem. I've been there, and that is not a party.
Not
Yeah,
a party.
well, according to your little zone diagram, Larry, you're also perfectly safe if you're inside the alligator's stomach, which I don't intend to be.
Alligators really aren't people eaters. Now, crocodiles,
really?
That's a whole different deal. Do you know there's about 2,000 people killed and eaten by crocodiles along the Nile River each year?
Wow.
I believe that.
Now, if that would be in the U.S., there wouldn't be a crocodile in those waters. We'd go after them with napalm. But it's like those old Tarzan movies, where they're crossing the gorge and all the poor natives have the equipment, and they say, and as a native plummets off the side of the gorge to their death, they're going, save the supplies. That's the mentality along the Nile River in Africa.
Yeah, Bruce vacations there quite often.
Really, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
But my friend Jim Fowler from the old.
I think that's why he's sick, Larry. I think that's why he's sick. He brought back like the Nile virus.
Are you sick, Bruce?
I'm getting better.
No. Well, old Jim Fowler was talking about, he was the co-host of Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, and he talked about water skiing on the Nile. And he said the one thing you want to make sure is that pickup boat after you drop is there right away.
Mm-hmm.
You'll become an appetizer for a Nile crocodile. It'd be pretty
Larry,
quick.
if you got some vacation time coming up, let me recommend a little river in Argentina called the Parana River. I'll give you the brochures.
Piranhas they don't eat people. That's all a big fallacy.
Hey, Larry, I know about 60 people who would beg to differ.
Well, they can beg to differ all they want. My wife does that every day. But there are people that wait amongst the piranhas and they don't get eaten. That's so rare. It's like, now they'll eat a capybara in a second. And you're familiar with the capybara, Bruce?
Yeah, it's a big rodent.
Yeah, the largest rodent in the world, 125-pound guinea pig.
Well, I think Bruce is talking about an article, and maybe Dr. Day will have it for you on your next show, Larry. Tell me about that article, Bruce.
What article?
Did you say you got it from an article or from the news?
Regarding what, Billy?
About the Parana River.
Oh, yeah. No, I read it.
Yeah, go ahead and tell him what you read.
Oh, so on Christmas Day, about 60 people were attacked by this fish that's like a cousin of the piranha down in Argentina. 60 people, men, women, children, just because they decided to take a dip in this river. And somehow the fact that the river was named the Parana River was lost on them. Right?
Or was there anyone deboned and left floating?
I don't know. I don't think anyone was deboned, but still, that would ruin my day.
Well, they have one of these spas offers a deal where you put your feet in with fish, and the fish nibble off the loose skin. Maybe that's kind of like what it was.
We're talking about people losing toes and fingers.
Oh, I don't believe that. I used to handle piranhas, and I was bitten by a piranha, but it wasn't piranha's fault. It was my fault. But yeah, they're big cowards. That's what people don't realize. They're big chickens. If you put one in an aquarium, all they do is hide. Put any foliage in there, they just hide.
If you get one, yeah, but if you get a school of them, the courage to skeletonize you.
Now, if you go to the Shed Aquarium in Chicago, they have an aquarium full of piranhas, and if you observe them, they're all hiding. They're not what people think as far as aggression and.
Hey, Larry, I give you a snorkel and a mask, and I'll let you observe them in the Piranha River.
I would do that, except I don't swim.
You're not going to have to swim very long, trust me.
I'd be more worried about that worm that supposedly crawls in your urethra hole in your penis and then burrows through your body. I'd be more worried about that than the. Of course, the wife would be greatly relieved, but.
That's actually a relative of a catfish, believe it or not. That fish that you're talking about.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Oh boy.
That is interesting, and usually you're not, Bruce. That's
wow.
Oh, thanks, Larry.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
All right. Well, before it gets too late, Bruce, I believe that we probably should get to some type of an announcement that you may have tonight.
We have trumpets.
Actually, I've got a drum roll. Hold on a minute. There we go.
That was pathetic.
That was a short drum roll.
You got any timpanis in that arsenal?
Well, or sometimes, or we could even go with.
Oh, that'd be more suitable for some Bruce commentary.
So, anyway, what do you got for us, Bruce?
Well, Billy, we have as you know, Creature Weekend is this May. This year it's May 16th through the 18th. We announced the speakers at the last show.
Yep.
Doug Waller, Tim Stover, Dr. Meldrum, Bill Munns.
Yep.
We have a slight change in the speaker lineup with the addition of this speaker, and that is I'm pleased to announce that Dr. John Meinzinski has agreed to speak at Creature Weekend this year. So we've added Dr. Meinzinski to the speaker lineup.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So he's a really interesting guy. And he's a really nice guy, too. So I'm really, really excited to have him speak this year at the conference.
That'll be great, because we know he spends hours upon hours, days and months in the wilderness. So it should be very interesting.
Dr. Meinzinski spent, 35 years of his life as like a wildlife biologist. So he's actually done a lot of research with grizzly bears, with sheep, with goats, and most of his work is done out there in the Rockies. And so he's got, you're talking about a guy. He's not the kind where you think of scientists like he's out in the lab. This guy is actually out in, the bush, so to speak. And so he's not really fazed by much. Let me put it that way. Like, you're talking about a tough guy here. And, he's also done work, Bigfoot research. So he'll be talking to us about that.
Right. It'll be very interesting to hear him.
I had a half nephew that had a lot of research with sheep.
Uh-oh.
Not that kind of research, Larry.
Yeah, we probably don't want to hear about that.
We're talking about
no,
real.
You don't.
We're talking about
half nephew.
What's the other half? Billy Goat. We're talking about
feral human.
Uh-oh.
Feral human. Billy, where did you get this guy?
He just showed up.
I did. I just literally just showed up. That's my whole life. He just showed up.
Oh my God!
I can't understand why people aren't taking me seriously.
I know.
Well, I hope to see you again, Larry. But leave the
not too soon.
Tarantulas at home next time.
Well, I don't know when that'll be. Now, as you, who knows?
Who knows?
But as always, it was a pleasure.
Yep, and we're glad you called in, and I will say that a lot of folks were interested in what you had to say, Larry, so appreciate you calling in.
I'd like to also...
amazing
go ahead.
In and of itself, Billy.
I'd also like to tell everyone that on my show, Thursday, 10 p.m., Willie Wilcox will be on, drummer for Todd Rundgren and Utopia, but recently he's the musical director for Bally Games in Las Vegas, Nevada, and he did a very exciting project with Michael Jackson's tapes on a game, and also now he's working on a project with ZZ Top.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's going to be a really cool show, and then we'll have our Wild World News with Dr. Henry Day. Our first grade teacher, Mrs. Swihart. You would enjoy her, Bruce.
Oh, yeah, Bruce would get a kick out of Miss Swihart.
Yeah, we all do. And that's 10 p.m. on, of course, the Miraculous Network that's somewhat amazing, Blog Talk Radio.
Yep. So, yeah, tune into that Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. Mm-hmm. And you all will also learn a lot about all these different facts about animals that you've never heard before.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't believe Larry about his piranha facts, so.
Hey, this is the voice of experience. I had a huge tank of water filled with them. And it wasn't nothing just to sit in there and just watch them circulate and completely unscathed.
Yeah.
Okay. That's true.
Okay. Bruce was like, okay. Well, okay. I think we've run to the end of the show. And Bruce, is there any other announcements concerning that? You know what? We probably should bring up the fact that Cabela's is also doing another event, and that's coming up March. Oh, goodness sakes, the dates are just blowing in my mind here. I got too many dates in my head. It's the middle of March. Help me out, Bruce. Can you think of the date?
Is it the 15th, Billy?
I think is it the 15th, 16th, and 17th or something like that? I believe. Let's hold on, folks. Let me double check here. I'll tell you. I believe. Let me find it here. I know it's in my. Here we go. It is March 15th and 16th. Cabela's Strange, Rare, and Unusual Sightings Weekend. And that's in Triadelphia, West Virginia, at that big, beautiful Cabela's. That, if anyone's ever been there, I'll tell you what, that place is...
It's amazing.
It's amazing, and I hate going in there because every time I go in there, I want to buy something. So,
I wonder how many game cams they'll sell that weekend.
Oh, they'll be selling them left and right. And once everybody lays their eyes on the new ones, they're nice.
Yeah.
But anyway, hopefully people can check that out as well. And Bruce, do you have anything else before we go?
Not at this time, Billy.
All right. Larry, thank you so much for calling in. We enjoyed you.
Oh, well, that's any time. My pleasure.
I wouldn't go that far, Billy.
I just love to harass Bruce and become a part of this show, which I now feel so close to it. And people search for Sasquatch.
That's right.
But watch out, though.
Yeah.
You got to be careful.
Got to be careful.
That's right.
All right. Well, everybody, until next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, everybody have a great rest of the week. Good night, everybody.
Wait, Billy.
Yeah.
Who are our guests next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday, let me go over here. Next Tuesday, is it going to show it to me? Da-da-da-da-da. It's showing me this week. That's nice. Go ahead.
I believe it's Margie, right?
Margie. I can't think of her last name, though. Can you think of her last name?
Oh, I almost forgot.
Okay.
Be careful for Sasquatch, and be careful for that buffet at the Kentucky Fried Chicken, because that sneeze guard's not that big.
Where does he get this stuff, Billy?
I don't know. I think he's coming up with it on top of his head now.
I gotta go, literally.
All right. Good night,
guys.
Larry. Good night.
Thanks, Larry. Now, our guest, I believe it's Margie Paget, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but she's done some work with cattle mutilations and is going to be talking about a possible link to Sasquatch.
Correct. And my understanding is she's with MUFON up in Missouri, and they actually just opened up a animal mutilation group within MUFON up there. And apparently they got some pretty interesting information she's going to share with us next week.
Well, as you know, Billy, I don't subscribe to any UFO theories on Bigfoot, but hey, you know what? It'll be a really interesting show.
Right. And again, I'll remind everyone that I've always kept an open mind, and I don't have a problem with people coming on here and giving us their opinions, because, hey, we all have the right to voice our opinion. So I think it'll be an interesting show, and you'll just have to wait and see just how interesting it gets.
I think it'll get really interesting, Billy.
Yes, I think it will.
If you know what I mean. All right.
All right. Well, everyone have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you then.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Sasquatch Watch Radio. We appreciate every one of our listeners. We hope you enjoyed our program. And don't forget to tune in again next week for another fun and informative program. Please visit our website at www.sasquatchwatchradio.com and leave us a comment about the show. We want to hear from you. Until next time, keep on looking for the big guy.
You're listening to Sasquatch Watch Radio on the Blog Talk Radio Network.
Can I give you $30 to lean into your decision to start working out and eating better? I'm Carl, co-founder of Body. That's BODI. And right now, if you sign up for a 1-year subscription to Body, I'll give you an instant $30 discount. That's 59% off. Look, I know it's not easy to get fit and lose weight, especially if you're trying to figure it out by yourself. But we make it simple. Just follow a program for 20 to 30 minutes day by day and lose 5 to 10 pounds a month. We have over 120 programs that have been tested and proven to work, and almost 300,000 5-star reviews in the App Store to prove it. Body also has complete eating plans and thousands of healthy, delicious recipes. So stop guessing and start seeing results with Body. And let me give you a $30 instant discount right now so you save big on the app that CNN _ named Best Fitness App. So don't wait. Sign up for a year of Body and get a $30 instant discount to save 59%. Just go to body.com. That's body with an I.com.
Asante came to TurboTax after graduating from culinary school and landing a job in the hottest kitchen in town.
My hands are full all day, every day. I love it.
Asante, as your TurboTax expert, I'll make your moves count, guaranteeing 100% accurate filing and your maximum refund. Sound good?
Yes, expert!
Switch to Intuit TurboTax and make your moves count. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.